It's a good evening from the studios of Radio FM 88 Australia today, and I say today because our co-host, of course, is in the UK, and I've got here at the bottom, just turned the world upside down for the first time. Southern Hemisphere is sitting up top, and our guest today is also from the Southern Hemisphere. It's in our backyard, just off the coast of Brisbane, on one of the Robinson Crusoe Islands. If you can find Man Friday. But in the meantime, we're going to be talking about animals and the connection with animals, and that's the story in itself. And I might just hand it over to our mate Priti Pauline, and then we'll go from there. And then I'll just put the stuff up as we're going through on the show. And if you wish to participate, just come through, and we'll put your little post up and comments and all that stuff, and we'll share it. Thank you very much, and back to you, Pauline.
Hello, and good morning from down under on top in the Northern Hemisphere. You said there weren't enough characters in X for instead of Australia, Aussie. Well, I think there's plenty of characters in front of us now. So welcome, Shemaine, and all the characters you'll be bringing to life for us today.
How exciting. I'm so excited to be on tonight. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yay. Well, I talk to animals. Okay, so there might be quite a number of people that might think you're off your rocker, if not bonkers, but we're not either of those. So we embrace the concept that you talk to animals and that you are the modern day Dr. Dolittle. So tell me, how did you get into this? What was it that gave you an inkling that you talk to animals, and how do they talk back?
Well, that's the big thing. Like when people say you talk to animals, and I'm like, yeah, and they're like, that's really strange. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do when they ask me questions? Ignore them? It just seems like the logical thing to do is talk back. My mum raised me well with manners. When I was little, when I was little, Mum noticed my affinity with them, and I was always drawn to, if there was an animal in my vicinity, it was drawn to me and I was drawn to it. It was just, magic. So many times my mum talks about when I was really little, how I would just be sitting there and I'd be just looking out, and then I'd like put my little baby fingers out, and then an insect would just come and land on the tips of my fingers, like butterflies and like little flying lady beetles, but to the tips of my fingers where our energy life force is coming out. So they would just gravitate. And then, of course, the first thing I want to do as a little one is bring them to my face and kiss them. So I always had this thing with wanting to kiss all the animals, which proved a few times growing up quite tumultuous for my mum, because spiders, I love to kiss spiders.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, just always, I guess, as a communication tool, my mouth was my expression when I was little.
Of course,
so
it's
of course
the all phase.
Yeah. But yeah, there's so many stories of my mum, finding me playing on the floor. She would think I was playing with my I liked a lot of stuffed animals as my toys. So she would think I was doing that and I'd be playing. I remember this one time, she's like, you're playing with your little, I had a little rhinoceros toy. And I'm going with it around the pot plant, around the top of the pot plant. And then I would squeal and I would come back around the side of the pot plant up the top. And then I would go, and Mum comes down. She's like, oh, it's so sweet. It's a funnel web spider I was playing with. She would chase me back along the edge, and then I would giggle. And then I would then chase her back, and then she would do the same thing. And then when Mum came, we both stopped and looked at Mum like we got sprung. And I'd been there for ages, so yes.
And funnel web spiders, they're a little can they be aggressive? I mean, clearly they're poisonous, aren't they? And the red backs, you were playing with them and it didn't bother you.
Yes.
No inhibitions.
No fear whatsoever. A few times
And
my mum, sorry.
I suppose for a funnel web spider, that would be quite unusual for a human to be fearless of them, considering what we know about them.
Yes, exactly. And she had a nest, so a mother as well, who are ferociously protective. So if she thought that I was a threat at all, she wouldn't have just stopped. She would have kept coming at me, and she would have like moved me on or nibbled me or whatever. But she knew that I was a safe space, and I was obviously giving her enough respect where I wasn't actually going back into her little house, because they built a little web house. Yeah. Yeah, so that was one spider experience. And then Mum always talks about the time that we were walking down the path. I was running ahead, as I always did. As soon as I found my feet, I would run. And then she'd come around the corner, and I'm sitting in the middle of the path. And she's like, okay. She always said, okay, wonder what she's found, you know. And here I was. I just picked up a random snake, just picked her up.
Oh,
And
okay. All right.
snake, yep, and was just kissing the top of her head as I did. And Mum's like, honey, okay, she's like, put the snakey down, So I put the snake down on my lap, and she proceeded to coil up and then just lay in my lap. And Mum said it took so long to try to get the snake off my lap. So yeah, I just stroked her like you would a dog, a cat. Yeah.
Okay. And was that any particular breed of snake?
Mum says it was a python, which is a friendly snake, but it's, I guess, any snake that's just cruising along doing their thing that you just pick up. That's a bit intrusive if you've got any ill intent or any bad vibes. But I just never seemed to have any bad vibes when it came to animals. It just was always high vibrational as a child. And I could see auras too. Mum would often say to me, what color can you see? And I would describe the color that I was feeling, because I didn't see colors as a visual. I saw them as a feeling. So I could sort of feel the color. So I imagine as a littlie, if I felt an animal with a color that didn't feel safe, I probably just gave it a wide berth, respectfully, intuitively. But anyone that was beaming, greens and golds and pinks, they were up for cuddles and kisses.
So
apparently they loved it.
Yeah, there's this early affinity with the animals, and clearly you're not a 3 or 4-year-old now. You're not a little toddler running ahead of your mum. So there's been a good few years between then and now. So how did it all develop, and what's the evolution of this communication strategy?
Well, I guess knowing that my love of animals was always going to be where I wanted to spend all my time, growing up on country, with animals around all the time. There were always more animals around me than people anyway. So, I grew up around an enormous amount of animals, both wild and domestic. And then when it came to me, becoming an adult, I surrounded myself again with animals. And I don't know if I should say this out loud, but kind of prefer the company of animals to a majority of people. I do love quite a few people, but certainly the company of animals is always heartwarming. And so it just naturally led into a career, where I just gave away all my ideas for free, of course, as you do. Things like, in my 20s, I would be over at someone's house and I would be playing with their cat. I remember this one quite particular because I didn't know that she'd had some health issues before I visited. And I think it was a party or something. Anyway, I could feel that she had a urinary infection. I could feel the heat in her bladder. And I just remember finding her owner there and just sharing that with them. and they didn't know quite what to do with that information, but they took her to the vets the next day, and yeah, she had a urinary infection. So from there, people would call up and ask me, hey, will you visit and come and check out our pets? You know, we're a bit worried, or we've been to the vets and they've suggested this. And so people sort of started asking me for sort of medical intuitive stuff around their animals. And so it just felt natural for me to just go and spend time with the animal and then share what I would feel. It wasn't until later that I realized that, oh, hold on, this could be a full-time profession, because I love it so much, and the results were speaking for themselves. Because, you know, if you can make someone feel more comfortable, it's the most amazing feeling. It warms my heart. And if you can, I mean, don't you have a responsibility to do that if that's something that you can do as well? Like, so I kind of just naturally just stepped into it full time as my responsibility, my love. Yeah.
Did you notice early on that there was any difference in the style of communication between domestic animals and wild animals?
Yes, very much so.
Ah,
Very much so. There's no ego. And it's a tricky conversation around ego, because everybody has a different opinion about it. But you know, for me, it's pretty straightforward. The domestic animals don't have any ego. The wild animals don't have any ego. The domestic animals adopt some of our egotic behaviors.
So you don't know if you're talking to the animal or the animal's owner?
Well, no, you're definitely talking to the you're definitely talking to the animal. That I have to get underneath that dialogue and make sure that they're not just telling me what they want me to hear to keep their owner happy. So, for example, if I'm connecting with somebody who, with their dog, and let's say that person is drinking quite heavily because they're quite depressed, and their dog is showing a lot of signs of anxiety, and that's why I'm called in to begin with. And then I can understand that the anxiety that the animal is carrying is not their own. It's their dad's. And then the animal will want to like make sure that I am the safe person that they can actually share why there is anxiety there. And so some animals will keep up that front and be like, oh yeah, no, we're just anxious because just because, you know, and you can kind of almost feel like they're trying to come up with a story because they're worried.
So does it sound more like a human story than an animal story?
A little bit, yeah. And it's a bit more theatrical as well, like it is with humans when we're trying to cover up the truth. We get a little higher in our voices and we get a little bit distracty and, you know, trying to keep the truth from coming out. But I tend to just ask the people, the guardian of the animal, I ask permission first to ask a couple of, you know, deep emotional questions. And once the owner, if they feel safe, and start answering a couple of questions, that's when the animal will open up as well and be like, oh, you know, the funny drink that dad's always drinking, you know, makes my nose feel weird and gives me diarrhea. And, you know, it's like you start to get underneath that just that surface stuff. But like anyone, you know, no one's going to divulge their secrets to you if you haven't invested and earned their trust. You're just going to get the story that they feel safe to tell you. And animals are no different in the domestic world. In the wild world, when I'm connecting with animals, there's no BS, there's no filter. There is just this wild and magical connection with the environment, with the land. And they will just say things as they feel them. So if they feel like we're disrespecting that part of the habitat, they will just share that sadness, that disconnect, that anger, that volatility. Or if they're feeling, you know, wonderful and brilliant and connected and uninterrupted and undisturbed, you know, they will express that. I swam with a hammerhead shark once. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, but it was the most amazing thing. Yeah, to swim with a wild shark. And I said to him when I felt him, I said, "Are you gonna eat me?" And he's like, I literally got foofed by a hammerhead shark.
You're not a tasty morsel. Get away.
And I'm like, what? And then he was about 8 meters away from me, and he tilted his face so his face would come out of the water. And I don't know if it's my imagination or not, but I saw a grin. I saw a little grin on his face. And then he just sort of laid a bit, he laid like that with his flipper a bit out and just like chilled. Like he just could not have been more chilled. Like he was trying to reassure me of me not being what he was interested in eating. And I'm like,
you'll always remember that.
oh, always foofed by a hammerhead. Unbelievable. I think there's so much misconception about sharks, and perhaps there's I don't know, like a telegraph of sharks where they're like, oh, people, they're just the worst, aren't they? They just don't understand. Majority of them don't understand what we need, and
Okay.
yes.
I wanted to ask you, do you consider that animals have a collective soul group? Like the giraffes would be all, not that you've spoken to too many giraffes in Russell Island, just right of Brisbane, but something along the line, well, field mice or, well, the hammerhead sharks. Do they have a collective consciousness that when you speak to one, you speak to all of them?
That's such an interesting question, because I have wondered myself at the complex tapestry of all the interconnectedness of all animals. My intuition is that it is a yes. I haven't seen the full confirmation of that in my experience, because I haven't traveled outside of Australia. But inside Australia, my experiences with birds is very much a soul connection. And my example there is I raised a little raven, an Australian raven, a couple of decades ago now. And before then, I hadn't had a lot of connection with them personally. I just looked and respected them as a sentient being. And my experience raising this little one was keeping him wild. So keeping him in a tree. I lived in a tree house at the time. Keeping him in the tree and not touching him, even though I was desperate to, kiss him. I was very mindful to not touch him. And we would talk for hours, and I would share with him, my heart, my soul, all these sorts of things. And then one day he just left. He just gained enough strength and he just left. And I thought about him quite often. I imagined that he was doing well. And then 6 months he arrived with his new son. And they just come straight into the house. And his son just looked at me in the exact same way that this raven had looked at me every time we'd been together. And in that moment, I realized that he had shared with his son that I was a safe place. And then when I would go walking anywhere, and even to this day, I get treated the same way by the Australian ravens. They look at me and and they make these little goo-gah sounds, and they bring me gifts, shiny things. And so, they know as an interconnected species that, I helped one of them, so I'm a good egg.
Good one.
Yeah, so I imagine other animals would be able to do that interconnectedness with their soul family on a bigger scale, if the ravens can. Yeah. They know each other.
Okay, I'll just share with you my experience of animal communicators. I went to an evening at Emerson College, which is just down the road from where I am in Forest Row. And there was a lady there who said that she talked to animals. And we're in a big room, and she brought a dog and some chickens to kind of demonstrate it. And the whole place went really, really quiet while she, if you like, tuned into the animal and wanted to find out different things about, well, the hen's life and the dog's life. And when you just sat and watched what she was doing, you could see that the animal was like, she'd ask a question and it would twitch with an answer, and just like microscopic movements that she would interpret and let us know what the animal was saying. And there was there was one about the hens, and the hens were all getting a bit jealous of the cockerel not coming in, and it was just the most hilarious conversation I've heard in a long time. But you could see how the hens were, they were paying attention
Yes.
and communicating. So kind of interesting. And then from that, they led me to the idea that when you speak to one, like one hen, that all of them are speaking together. And you're right, domesticated ones seem to be a bit different. And there was a time when I lived in a cottage, and there was a field mouse that was in there, and I could tell because you could see the droppings, and there was so much was being nested away, and Brillo pads were being taken apart, and the food was being got at. And so I told the landlady, and she said, "Oh, I better get someone in to exterminate it."
Oh.
I went, "Oh,
Mm.
well, give it till after the weekend," because I'd had this recent experience of seeing the dogs and the chickens talking to this other person. And I decided that what I would do was clear out all the food from the area where it was in the cupboards underneath, and I put it somewhere else. And then I sat down quietly and said, "Look, I'm going away for the weekend. And, if you haven't gone by the time I come back, the lady in the big house, she's going to kill you." So, and I turned all the heating off to make it an uncomfortable place for them to be.
Perfect.
And yep. And I told my dad, and my dad said, "You're bonkers. Oh, do you think they don't know that the food is on the other side of the room?" So it's this. Anyway, I left for the weekend. I went away for the long weekend, and I came back on Monday morning. Not a sign or sight of the animal. And I was so pleased. I was so pleased. "Oh, she's not going to kill you now." And I was just imagining all these field mice coming in all from around the place to take away. Come on, get away. So,
Such an emotional intelligence.
well, whatever it was, the field mice left. I came back and I checked everywhere to be sure that it wasn't hidden under the washing machine or somewhere else, just to be sure that. Oh, I'm so glad. And guess what? Then I read a book about the qualities of field mice, and that was to pay attention to detail. And on the Friday, I'd had this huge big letter arrive that I was just going to sign it and send it on, but it was a big one. So I spent my time that weekend paying attention to the detail, and by golly, was it worth it for me. So that was quite memorable, particularly with my dad laughing his head off, saying, "Do you think they don't know the food is on the other side?" I'd taken it, I'd put them all in glass jars, so no food here.
No. That's beautiful. I love that so much. I mean, if we could do more of that, then we could protect them from being, what would have happened if that hadn't have happened.
Yeah. So there is this idea that animals have their own soul group. So I don't know how much you agree with that or not. It'd be interesting to find out.
Yeah, no, it feels very real, and from my experiences, it is very real in my experience as well. And there's an intuitive emotional intelligence that animals work from, and it's uncomplicated. They want to live. They want to live their best life. Yeah. I remember, again, spiders. I had a rental inspection of many moons ago when I was quite young, and there was this magnificent golden orb who had built this beautiful web right across the side of where, you know, they would need to walk. And so the day before the inspection, I came over and I tapped my finger on each of the threads that I needed her to remove. Yeah. So there was 4 of them. I just tapped each one and just said, look, can you please take these up high and just be out of his view when he comes through. In the morning when I get up, if you haven't, I'm going to have to move them. And, you know, I would rather you did it. And I got up in the morning with my coffee and went around and I couldn't find her. She had cleaned up every little bit that she'd used as her foundation on that side of the path. And I looked up and here she was up in the bushes. And I know she didn't wink at me, but it felt like she was like, he's not going to see me. I know. And within a week, she had began to expand out again after the inspection.
Okay.
Maybe. So I said, well, it's 3 months, mate. So enjoy for the 3 months and we'll have to do this again. But yeah, just that intelligence, that cooperative energy. Animals are very cooperative. Yeah.
Have you spoken to any of the animals on a more, I'm going to say, global perspective? Now, as the animals cohabit with us, is there anything that the animals would actually like to say to us humans? For goodness sake, how many times do I have to tell you? Isn't it about time you did blah, 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 whatever it is?
It's another really good question. I do earth meditations. My mum taught me from a young age to do earth meditations as a way of being part of the collective. So when we do earth meditations and we work in the oceans, there's a lot of, I guess the best way to describe it is just a mess. There's so much mess and I guess debris and I guess plastic in the ocean. And there's just a lot of heaviness. So we do this thing, Mum and I do this thing where we sprinkle golden bacteria. And this is going to sound loco to a lot of people who don't understand the power of energy, but that's okay. They can only come from where they're at. But we sprinkle golden bacteria all over the ocean, wherever we get these really heavy sensations, with an intention to dissolve and to transmute that heaviness back into a higher vibration. And in my heart, I would love it to just like transmute the plastics and the grub and the heaviness and stuff to provide the animals with the magnificence that is our natural state in our natural world. The biggest thing I get from animals is their gratitude for us. Like they have so much gratitude. Now, logically, that doesn't make sense to me because, and again, this will sound pretty bad, but as humans, we're parasitic on the earth. We just take. And animals aren't like that. They're cooperative and they don't take more than they need. And as a, majority of animals, and they live in a harmonic way of being in their natural state.
Yeah.
And they're grateful. When I connect in with them, they're grateful. When I do like rallies for, habitat destruction and I connect in with the koalas and the lorikeets, I get so much gratitude from them. And I say to my mom, like, how can they be so grateful? Why is it a gratitude energy that I'm getting from them when I'm looking at these old growth forest trees that are down on the ground and I want to go ballistic at the people that have just done this. And Mom's like, yeah, honey, but holding that high vibration is the key to just experiencing this from a different level. And the animals are experiencing this from a physical component. There's grief, there's loss, there's pain, there's trauma, and they're scared. But on an energetic level, they're in a state of gratitude. So if we can like match that, perhaps we can get through to more people, to get people to match that, and then have a shift on the planet where we start giving rather than taking. So perhaps I believe that animals are leading the way by not being bitter and not being, dark on us for being, who we are, or by what we're doing. And they still have hope for us. They still believe in us. That would be my collective.
Do you think that's do you think that's a more recent thing, or maybe 1,000 years ago we weren't 3-year-olds and having to tidy up our room? Because that's what it sounds like. You've just left a bloody great mess. Clean up your mess, you dirty little whatnot.
Yep, exactly.
So do you think there was a time when we were cleaning up our mess, and it wasn't something that the animals were a bit miffed with us about? And even if there is an inordinate gratitude, they would certainly like us to clean up our mess.
Oh my goodness. Now. Of course they must. They must. If I get myself worked up emotionally, I can't hear them. It's like there's a lot of static in my hemispheres, and I can't hear them. I need to be in a calm state to hear them. So perhaps they do communicate on an energetic level of their disappointment in us, but I don't hear that because I would need to match that energy. And when I'm matching that energy, I can't hear them. Mum always said when I was little, and if I got myself into like a heightened state, being little, I was allergic to sugar. So that proved to be quite a problem when other kids were eating sugar drinks and things like that. And she said that one time she saw me quite erratic with a dog, and a dog backed away from me. First time an animal ever backed away from me, when I was in that hyper state. And I remember that clearly. Like when she told me that, it stayed with me, because I thought, okay, I think that could be key to the way that I communicate with animals moving forward. And it's just proven itself multiple times. If I'm upset, animals will move away from me. If I'm outwardly upset, so if I'm emotional, they will comfort me. So there's a different state there. Calm versus elevated. But not elevated in spirit, but elevated in emotion, with, I guess, that ego component. Yeah. I mean, some of the rallies I go to, I just want to scream blue effing murder. And, that's not going to help anyone. And I nearly got arrested at the last rally I was at, which is also not helpful.
No. Okay, be a good girl.
So when it comes to your communication, we haven't really touched on it, but is yours more of a telepathy? Are you hearing a voice, or are you getting pictures?
It's interesting. I don't fit into one particular box, which is probably, not that uninteresting, but I will feel an animal's comfort level. And as they feel safe with me, I will feel their emotions. And as I feel their emotions, then they will give me glimpses of things that they can remember. So I kind of get like a kaleidoscope of things that they want me to see, and then that moves into the next. They can bring through things they want me to smell, so I can smell different things. I get a really strong sense of a knowingness when something is coming from a place where they need a resolution on something, when it's really important. And I kind of get pulled into like this really important sort of like, we're going to talk about lots of fun stuff, but I'm going to get to the bottom of something. And then I kind of get drawn more and more and more towards the main thing that they want to share. and that almost feels like I can taste it. It is so physical. And within myself, I don't have any physical feelings of my own. Like, you know, if my feet were cold, I wouldn't feel cold feet. I don't get thirsty. Yeah, it's like my own stuff shuts off and makes room or gets out of the way so that they can show me how they're feeling, which is a great way to identify medical stuff, because I can then feel kidneys and I can feel bones and I can feel chest and breath, and I can feel what they're feeling safe to show me.
Sure. So you're receiving that, and what are you in return? How do you communicate with them? Again, with feeling, touch, talking. Just when you talk or you think of a picture, they pick up on that. It all connects.
If I'm sitting with them and their guardian, I will use words to describe what I'm seeing and feeling. I will sort of explain everything that's coming through so that the person is understanding what they're hearing, what's happening. If I'm sitting one-on-one with an animal and there's no one around, we're silent. Yeah. It's quite interesting. So the sound I hear is inside.
Of course.
So I guess telepathy. Clearly, English is not my first language. And sometimes when I'm talking with people, I'm like, in my mind, what can't you understand what I am sending you? With my laser focus. And I have some people going, don't you send me your woo-woo shit?
Yeah. So that's what you do. You get into that nice Zen space,
Yeah.
so you can receive their communication and all the different those levels of feeling and understanding, and then you reciprocate in a similar fashion.
Yes.
But if you're allowed to touch them and if you touch them or whatever, then there's another connectivity that takes place in an empathetic way.
Yes.
And then do you somehow pull in a picture and then you send them a picture as your telepathic communication?
Well, I don't do anything like I won't intentionally send them a picture. It's almost like just things just have their own natural way of just going along. I kind of don't get in the way. If I do notice myself thinking, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, then I feel like I'm not in the pocket properly. So I kind of like just feel like the whole process runs itself. And if I'm touching an animal and they are just intuitively knowing that they will just move around and move until my hands are on the parts that they want my hands on. And then as a conduit, I will just call in whatever energy that they're looking for, and that'll move through me and go through my hands onto them. And so they kind of call the shots on what they need. Animals are highly intelligent and they know what they need a lot better than humans do. Yeah. They're just so much easier to understand. And,
so you must have a little picture that says, "Oh, good morning" or "Good afternoon," and "How can I help you?" Or, yeah.
Say that again. Sorry.
Or you might have your imagery that you use, such as "Good morning" or "Good afternoon" or "How can I help you?"
Hi. I always just come in with hi. Hi. That's it. That's my full introduction. And then from there, it's all heart. So, okay, the best way to describe it is it's heart coherence. So we have a heartbeat. Everyone has a sentient being, has a heartbeat. And so I will breathe and I will invite, whomever is with me. Because a lot of times animals will remotely connect with me. So I'll be laying in bed and then I'll feel someone jump on my chest. And so I intuitively go, hi. And then I start breathing with them. So I feel into my heartbeat and then I just feel for theirs. And as soon as I feel theirs, I just naturally invite them to sync up with mine. So some animals have a faster heartbeat. And so I will invite them to sync up with mine, and sometimes they won't fully sync, but they'll still be in a coherence. Some animals will go from a heightened state, sync up, and then we will have the one heartbeat. And as soon as you've got that synced up heartbeat, every animal, even birds, they go, they do this audible sound. They do it in spirit and they do it in physical. So as soon as I hear that audible sound, I know we're in sync. So before that moment, and so that can take like a moment, or that might take 10 minutes, depending on the circumstances. If it's a trauma situation, it might take that full 10, 15 minutes. But as soon as that synced up, I guess that's their safe place. They feel safe. It's a container of safety then. And yeah, they just then share how they're feeling. So I guess the majority of what I get is how they're feeling, you know, anxious, upset, frustrated, confused. And then they'll show me what they're confused or frustrated or angry about. Yeah.
So, I mean, we're all familiar with cats and how they give you the raw finger. You know.
They can.
So you're the queen of the cats, and you
Queen of the felines. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. On Lamb Island. On Lamb Island, I'm famous feline whisperer. Short version of the story is beautiful woman on the island has two pussycats. One pussycat who is known by most of the island to be incredibly vicious to everyone except mum. So he's got his murder mittens out and he's ready to so nobody goes into the house, you know, because they'll get scratched or bitten. And she needed to go away. And she's like, I can't go away. I can't leave him. I can't have anybody else come into the house. Oh my God, this is like so stressful. And then I was recommended and she's got me in. And from the moment I walked in, it was so lovely. I'd heard the stories about him and the ferociousness. And I walked in the door and one of the two boys walked over to me. He's the cutie, softy, sweetie. And then his brother was over there. And we looked at each other and I invited him to heart coherent, to sync up with my heart. And he did that equivalent of the bird, you know, because I'd only been there for I thought, okay, all right, this is cool. And his mum put the kettle on and he just watched me and she's like, oh, please don't move. Just stay there. Just stand there. I'll put the kettle on. She was so worried about him just coming and just like opening up my legs. And I just moved a little bit closer, invited him again. And he started to smell me. So his nose started to twitch. And then he invited me to come closer. And it almost felt like a challenge, which I accepted, of course. So I walked towards him. His mum's like, oh, no. I said, please just let this unfold. She's like, well, I can't look then. I said, that's okay. You just keep your back to us. Anyway, it took about 5 minutes. He asked me to come a bit closer. And then he informed me that he was going to come closer. So he was in charge and he was controlling the narrative.
Oh, yeah.
He was talking to me, which was lovely. And I said, of course. I said, may I invite you to feel my heart? And he's like, I can smell it.
Ooh.
And I said, how does it smell? And he walked right over to my leg and sniffed my leg and sat down and looked at his mum and said, she'll do. Anyway, we proceeded to become the best of friends, and it's amazing. We have cuddles and scratches, and it's just beautiful. So yeah, it's like I guess I was the only one that went in there who wasn't like full of fear, and that's what he could smell. He could smell the fear.
And even the owner was oh, don't do that.
Full of fear.
Don't do this. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got a job
and
for this. I've got a job for this. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Come on.
Next time I'm playing canasta, I'll have to get your cat to come along and bloody just check out the other opponents and tell me what's going on in those other cards.
So there's a cat behind your cards, and then she's going to tell me what she can see, right?
Yeah. Do you think they can do that?
Of course.
Well, they can definitely describe. If they can show me what they can see, as long as they
Yeah.
know what they're looking at. Sometimes when I'm working with, I do a lot of finding lost animals. So people call me up, they've lost their dog, their cat, their birdo, and they call me up and they're like, oh, you know, so yeah, I'm like, certainly. I get permission from the owners by having them send me through photograph of the animal and last known location, and then I tune into the animal. And the big thing that I try and get dogs to do is to look at letters. So if they're in a house, if they've been kidnapped, I get them to look for the triangular white triangles, so so that they can actually, rectangles or whatever it is, they know what I'm talking about. And they'll look, and quite often they'll look at the back of the letters, and so they're giving the address of their home, but they're showing me, they're not saying it, they're just showing me, and I'm like, flip it over. Flip it over. It's so funny. It doesn't always work that way. Some animals can look at street signs. They can look up at street signs, and if the light's wrong and the sun's on it, it's glary, you can't see. So it's very hard to say, okay, move left a little bit, or yeah. But yeah, they can show you what they can see, but they have to be feeling very safe to do that. So not every animal does that with me, but when they do it, my goodness me, it just is the coolest thing in the world. It's so cool to give people exact addresses. So cool. We have so many reunions. It's probably my favorite. When it all goes well, it's my favorite thing in the world, to reunite people with their babies. And when it, you know, when we find them but they've passed, it's heartbreaking, but it's still, you know, wonderful for the owners to be able to have some closure.
This morning on my walk, there's someone's put up a poster. They've lost their duck. Yeah. And I thought, who would have a duck? But anyway, when I get home, there's a couple of hours later, I'm hearing this, you know, duck sound, you know. So I go out, and there's bloody 4 ducks in my swimming pool. I thought, you buggers.
Is one of them that missing duck?
No, it's not. They're feral ducks. They're bloody manif- and the cup, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to have to tell you guys to shoo off, because they go and put their feces in the pool and around the bloody coping of the swimming pool, you know.
They do. I had a client that called me to ask me if I could communicate with her ducks that kept, like, they're not her ducks, but they're ducks that come and swim in her pool. And I said, look, absolutely, we'll give it a go. And it took 3 times just to let the ducks know that, yes, they could have a swim, but they needed to get out and move away to do their poops. And it's so funny. On the 3rd time, one was swimming, and I swear to goodness, he was like, oh, damn it, because he pooped and forgot. But now there's no ducks. They don't come and poo in the pool now. So it was a good result.
Do they come and swim?
Yes.
So it's like toilet training for ducks.
Yeah.
But I toilet trained a guinea pig when I was very little. I've been, I guess, intuitively animal behavioral training, you know, just to see how animals are super clever. So, you know, if you give them clear instruction and they feel safe, yeah, they love to do things that, you know, make you happy.
So all these communications,
yes,
all these communications you're having, are they in person, or do you can you muster doing something miles and miles away, perhaps over the telephone line or internet or WhatsApp? I don't know.
I have clients all over the world.
Really?
Yes,
wow.
I do. So last year I was nominated for Animal Psychic of 2025, and I won. So I have had an incredible amount of opportunities to connect with so many animals internationally since that opportunity.
Okay. Now I'd quite like to hear some of those stories, if you've got any that immediately come to mind. Certainly the more unusual ones.
Okay, well, I have a very unusual one for you. A rabbit. A rabbit. A rabbit.
Roger.
So he is he's so beautiful. So beautiful with the longest ears, so gorgeous. And his mum, he's an emotional support rabbit, and he works with her at a children's facilities to help young ones to express themselves through art. So he's a therapy rabbit. And he began to, in the mornings, show patterns on his fur. His fur would just have patterns come up. And his mum reached out to me just wondering if anything, if that meant anything. So I've been working with her and her beautiful rabbit, and he's bringing through on his fur the equivalent to crop circle rings.
Yeah.
Beautiful messages and symbols, and it's just profound, this sentient being in the form of a rabbit. Like, I mean, I don't know how many of your listeners will be like, what? But yeah, this is not our first rodeo. So this incredible soul has just chosen to come through and to bring all these symbologies through, working with the children. Like, profound. Yeah, I have to be mindful on what I share about different clients because of confidentiality. But yeah, she would be more than happy for me to have shared that. And she's in the UK.
Okay.
Wyoming.
And the crops, the crop circles on the fields. Of course, rabbits have quite an affinity with running through fields, and
yes.
And there are a number of crop circles that turn up in the UK. And there's many different stories about the meaning of those crop circles and the I don't know enough about them, to be honest.
Neither do I, but it's so interesting. Like, we are not alone.
And the symbols are bringing the crops and presumably the animals back to their original, shall we say, specification. So yeah,
absolutely. And it's amazing, truly amazing. And just I'm also working with a lady who her beloved dog passed away quite suddenly, and she's in a UK again. And then about a couple of months later, a puppy came through that was available for adoption. And even before she went and picked up this doggo, she knew that there was something special about this doggo. And so when they met, this new doggo, she saw her previous dog immediately's eyes on this new pup. And as when we did the connection, we had confirmation of different behaviors. I would talk to her dog as her previous dog, and then the puppy would then show the behaviors of the previous dog, having never met that previous dog. And I'm like, so you're one being? And she's like, yes. And like, it's profound, absolutely profound, that our soul family will just keep coming back in different forms, through choice, to support us having our human experience on this gorgeous blue planet. There's so many amazing stories of people recognizing animals as other family members as well. I connected with a man who was in palliative care. Again, long story, but the short version, his daughter had invited me to come to see if there was anything that he needed to, reconcile emotionally. He was nonverbal at that stage and on high doses of, pain relief. So neither her or I knew what would happen. Anyway, standing beside the bed, this little puppy, just all of a sudden, this little Jack Russell just flew in the room and jumped up. I get goosebumps every time. Jumps up on the end of the bed, and this man who was nonverbal and non-moving was like physically responded as this energetic little terrier jumped on the bed, and straight away the little one started going. The gate was the latch was off, and I'm like, trying to understand what I'm hearing, because it was quite excited, as you can imagine, like, and I'm just like, just give me 1 second. What are you saying? And then he's like, I went under, I went under, I went under. And I started to say, you went under? He's like, yes. And I went, okay. So the latch was locked? He's like, yes, I went under, I went under. Turns out that gentleman, who was 85 at that time, had lost this little Jack Russell when he was 10 years old. And he was riddled with grief because he thought he'd left the gate unlocked. So his entire life, he'd held on to the sadness that he'd left the gate unlocked and his beloved, beautiful terrier had run out of the gate and been hit by a car, and he blamed himself. And yeah, he just came through this little terrier just to let his dad know that he'd actually gone under the fence. The latch was locked. It was not his fault. It was, And this beautiful man, he passed away 5 hours later, but he had this smile on his face. It wasn't like a big teethy smile, but there was a softness that went into his face and just a peace that went through his body. And it was profound to have that grief lifted, to see it, to visually see it. So animals can bring us so much healing. If we can listen, we can experience just incredible healing. And I live for that every day. Healing for them and healing for their guardians.
Now, we go globally, and of course, one of the largest markets is Southeast Asia, and they're all living in apartments. Yeah. Their biggest thing that I've seen at the markets, Thailand and Malaysia, is goldfish. Have you had any experiences with goldfish?
I have had experiences with goldfish. Yes, I love fishes. And they are, again, they work off feeling safe. Again, they work off feeling safe. So I worked with a koi, big, beautiful koi. So, and he would come and wait for me to come close. And then he would move away, and then he would want me to follow him. So he would engage in that way of sort of I guess, cat and mouse, again, come forward, let me chase you. And then he would want to be touched. So I didn't get, as in, he wasn't having conversations with me as such, but he was definitely showing me, leading what he wanted and communicating how he wanted to be looked after. And working with him was really fun because he would actually ask to be touched. So you have to make sure you have really clean hands, though. So you can't just be touching fish if you've got dirty hands or in perfume or oils or anything. You've got to have perfectly clean hands because they have incredible membrane on their body. But yeah, and he would show me where he'd want to be touched. That was quite beautiful. I was able to find, he had developed a little skin issue. So we were able to get on top of that really quickly because he showed me where it felt different to everywhere else. So quite a lot of intelligence there. Not just goldfish swimming in circles. They have quite a profound awareness of self.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now, we've had people here in Australia and as well as the UK who deal in equine therapy, where they get disabled people who come into the actual field, and the disabled person will sit on the ground, and then the horses come in, and the horses then pick one of those disabled people and just nurture and just smell them, and then they probably just lay down with them. I mean, have you had that experience as well with doing equine therapy?
Yeah, I have. So when I was younger, I used to go and work on horse farms and worked with a few places that provided that service, bringing in disabled and high needs children. And the communication between the horses and the children is quite visual. You can really see the horses connect, and you can see, again, I believe it's the heart coherence that just naturally happens. I don't have to you don't even have to say slow your breathing down. The horses will naturally come in and sort of come underneath the child's breath and then take control, and you can actually watch them leading the breath. Profound, truly profound. Working with horses has been a big passion of mine over the years, and what's happening at the moment with the Brumbies is quite devastating. But I don't want to bring the vibes down here, but yeah, we really need to respect our equine family a lot more than we are. Yeah.
I tell you, I don't know about you, but cows. I really enjoy cows because you go along and they're really inquisitive. They just want to come up and really make you part of the herd, don't they? They're amazing.
Yeah. Cows are amazing. Absolutely amazing. I got a funny story about rescuing a cow. There was a neighbor, again, long story, I'll make it short. They got a calf, and they were going to fatten this calf up, and they called him Calvinator, and they bought a big freezer. Anyway, I got wind of this, and I wasn't having a bar of that. So I started saving all my pennies so I could buy Calvinator. And it took me a couple of months to get, enough money up. And then I went over to buy Calvinator. Now, we didn't have a fenced yard. We were in a caravan at the time, but we did have a clothesline. So I figured I could buy some molasses and I could cover the clothesline in molasses. And then that would keep Calvinator there, which I changed his name to Calvin. And that would keep him there while I went off to go to, do my schooling and stuff and come back. Anyway, they never took my money. My tears won his freedom over, and I got to bring him home. And then the authorities got very, very familiar with him because he kept trying to follow me down to school and things like that. And he just became this little community cow that everyone knew was rescued by that girl that just, talks to the animals. And yeah, it became just quite a beautiful, community. People had called, we've got your cow. Go visiting. But when I called his name, he'd do kicks and he'd do all this dancing, and he would dance. He would literally dance his way over to me every time. And then he would give me big kisses and stuff. So he knew what his journey was, in early days, but he never accepted it. He knew he's going to have a beautiful life. And I ended up finding another family for him to go and live with that had big property. And yeah, he's just lived his full life in his skin, mooing the way he should.
Amazing, aren't they? Because sometimes before I got the camera phones, I had a Sony Cybershot, and it always take orbs. You got orbs and all that stuff. And I remember being somewhere down the bush there, and these Angus, the black ones, came up to the fence line and taking photos of them. And when the photos came out, some of them had this blue orbs. They were sitting right on their bloody forehead, and then all of a sudden these other blue orbs all turned up around the herd. It was bloody amazing. It's talking about orbs and communication. Changing talking about Nimbin now,
yes,
down there in northern New South Wales,
yes,
the home of the Mardi Gras festival.
Yes.
It's really good. I've been there. They talk about all the different benefits of marijuana and bloody hemp and all that. But there is a community rooster.
Oh, yeah.
Walks around the street of Nimbin. Yeah.
Yes.
I've actually been there once, and I actually got a photo of it, so I've actually put it on our site.
And he walks into the different stores for snacks, and yeah, he's a mascot.
Yeah, pretty amazing, isn't it? Just unbelievable. That's what life's all about. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's an amazing place to grow up, Nimbin. So we grew up. I spent a few years with my mum when I was young at Tuntable Falls, which is a 5,000-acre property on a waterfall. So amazing.
Do you have any experience with the bigger wild animals, like the elephants, the giraffes, the more safari types in Africa or India, that part of the world? Do you communicate with any of those?
Not directly. it's interesting when you say it. I almost feel like I should be. There's a part of me, as soon as I hear you say that, I'm like, why am I not doing that more actively? I connect a lot with the big cats, and I connect a lot with the different foundations that rescue wolves. And there's a lot of rescue groups around the world that I will purposely go and connect in with, and do work remotely. And animals on death row and things like that. And there's the Nimid Hemp Embassy. So I could be doing a lot more of that. But when I do connections with, big animal, big cats, they've got a huge energy. They're much bigger than their physical form. There is a beautiful sense of family. A very strong sense of family, and I think that might come down to my genes, because my mum is an Indigenous elder, and she has roots to Africa, as well as obviously our Australian Aborigine culture, and so her love of Africa and all of Africa's animals. Mum used to call me Teepee when I was growing up. The little girl who grew up with the African animals. So she always saw me as that little girl over here in Australia. So it's interesting that I'm not doing more work like that, but I work so much with so many animal groups. It's just, I guess, another thing that I can do more of. I connect so much to a point where Mum recognizes that I get close to burnout because of the emotional toll that it can take. And I did actually take a year off 2 years ago because of that factor. So I had to sort of pull back a little bit to maintain my own energy levels, and my own emotional barometer, if you will. Yes.
And what about the animals like crocodiles, the more reptilian ones, and alligators?
Well, it's interesting. I've connected with those when I've been working with missing animals, and I've connected with them when they have been when they have taken animals. I haven't actually had a conversation per se with a crocodile or an alligator that I'm aware of, but I do a lot of dream time working, so it's possible that I've connected with them on like a more of a subconscious level. But they do show their physicality when I'm tuning in. If I'm looking for them, they will show themselves where they are. So I do get that strong sense of them, and they are so strong. They are so strong. Like, it's almost an overwhelm of strength that they have. And I don't know if that's because of the way that they live, or if it's just the structure of the body, or if it's just the way that the jaw sort of, I'm not quite sure why, but it's very, not intimidating, but maybe a little intimidating.
Awesome. Needs to be a little bit, have a lot of respect.
I would not be talking my way out of nothing if we were one-on-one in a physical form. I don't think we could have a Mad Hatter's tea party. I think I would be dinner. Doesn't matter if I can talk to them at the end of the day. Yeah, it's a very wild sense. Very different to the hammerhead shark. Very different. Very different.
But they've been around a lot longer.
Yes, very prehistoric, very not really interested in the fluff of stuff. So I talk a lot of fluff with animals. We'll fluff along with things, especially birds. They like to waffle on like no one's business. But there's no waffling, there's no fluffing with an alligator or a crocodile. What do you want? Like, it's just this strong sense of like, don't, like, not that they talk to me as such, but like the strongest sense that, what do you want? Like, I've got limited time to even engage. I'm like, I just wanted to know if you ate that, if you had a meal recently that might have looked like this. It's just, yep. All right.
Okay, it's a different language.
I've had experiences with crocodiles. So, when I tuned into the crocodile, it explained to me its job was not to reveal everything at once.
Ooh.
It was to come and soak up the sun and take the
Ooh.
energy, and to put the food in the bank.
Oh, I
Mm.
love that.
So the only
That's
reason
amazing.
I did a journey. I decided to check in and find out about your power animals in the northeast, south, and west. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
beautiful.
yeah, so I went to the north to find out what my totem was from the north, and it was a crocodile. He told me that. When I went to the east, I met the kangaroo and the koala bear. So the kangaroo had a saddle on it, and the koala bear was riding the saddle. And
I love that.
and the kangaroo just jumped, and jumped over a fence, and then the koala bear got off and ran up a tree. And I said, "What have you come to teach me?" And the kangaroo said, "I've come to teach you how to take life in leaps and bounds." And the koala
Ooh.
said, "I'm here to give you a different perspective of life." So that was the east. And then went to the south, and I went underground. And as I came down, I met a white rabbit with glasses. I said, "What have you come to teach?" And he said, "I've come to teach you how to see in the dark." I thought, okay. So then I went to the west, and I went to Africa, and I met all these
Yes.
animals that no longer live on the earth plane. And they said, "We may have left the earth plane, but our essence and soul is here for you to take part in." So I thought, that's really interesting. That's the 4 major compass points. So I said, "Oh, what happens when you put them all together?" And lo and behold, up comes the male and female deer, and the male deer's got antlers on it. So I stood there and I said, "Oh, what have you come to teach me?" And the deer said, "Attunement." So antlers were antennas. So I said, "Well, okay,
Yeah.
so I said to them, I command thee to reveal thy higher self. And the next second, boom, I'm standing in front of this dude on his throne, and he had a pyramid face of a mountain, but he was on the throne, and he had a set of antlers on him. Yeah. So I'm standing there looking at this guy, and I said, "I command thee to reveal thy higher self." And the next second, there was 3 triangles all inside of each other. I traveled through them. And then I was out in the Stellar Kingdom, and I arrived at this place, and I came into this room, and then there was a big, huge mantelpiece. I'm looking at it. Next second, the door opened, and in comes this really elderly couple. And the old man says, "Oh, you've just met our son." I said, "Well, who are you?" And next second, out come these little antlers coming out. And they said, "Yeah, our son's, his job is to be in tune with your solar system, but we're in tune with the stellar worlds." I said, "Oh, okay, well, thank you very much." Boom.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah, so bottom line is that the guy who I met on the Earth plane, who was the son, that would be in the Christian concept of the Lord of the Animals, in which case in Glastonbury, they have the Goddess Festival, and they put a fellow there, and they dress him up, and he's called the Green Man, and he has a set of antlers there, and he goes out as part of that festivities, so there you go.
Wow. That's so cool.
Mm.
And where did you do this journey?
Well, funny enough, I was up at my cousin's place up at Panorama Mountain up at Noosa.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's quite a
Beautiful.
strong source there, because you can look straight into Mount Ewa, or you can look into Pomona Mountains. So that whole area it's got a really lovely feel about it. Well, it's got an energy about it. It's a bit like
Yes.
Nimbin, and it's got a real good energy there. Isn't it? So if you go to an energy hotspot, as Pauline has mentioned before, she's on the east-west meridian grid. So once you get onto a ley line or a song line, it's amazing what you can tap into. But it's no different to the indigenous people. I mean, what I just gave you there as an example was the indigenous people will find that they have a totem animal, just like the indigenous from North America. So once they in tune with their animal totem or the meat of the tribe.
Yeah.
When that turns up, then they sit down and go into a reflection, and that totem animal will come in and we'll give them some knowledge and we'll share that understanding of them, you know.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Mm.
And then they don't eat that totem animal.
That's correct. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
That's really cool. Really beautiful. I got a reading next week with 2 bearded dragons and a turtle up at Sunshine Coast on a big property overlooking the Coolum, the ocean there. So that's going to be fun.
I love it. Very good. Yeah. Priti, you got any other questions, mate? Oh, hang on a sec, but there's one question. It came to the radio station months ago, and it was to do with extraterrestrials. Yeah?
Yes.
And somebody asked them a question, and it came right out of left field. It took them by surprise. And the question was, if you wish to come out into the universe, first of all, speak to your inhabitants of your own planet. So the first question is, have you had a conversation with your ants?
With ants.
Ants.
That's their first question. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you asking me that as a question?
That was the question that was given to the group that was there, you know, talking about coming out into the stellar worlds, and they said, "Well, look, let's the backyard first, and which is your planet."
Absolutely.
And have a chat with ants, you know?
Yeah, ants are profound, absolutely profound, and they work in such community, you know, cooperative community. Like on the island, we have bull ants. Now they are huge. They're a 3-part ant, so they got 3 parts of their body. Now when they bite you, they take a chunk of meat out. So we have quite a few on our particular property here, and I go out and I go, guys, listen up. Okay, I got to do some garden work. Can I please have a bite-free area? Can I work in an area and it be bite-free? So if I've got to wash the car or, you know, do some gardening, yep, that's them. Second from the top. Big chompers. Anyway, they will land on my leg. They jump, so they're jumping ants. Yeah, they look like that, but they're kind of red. But they're not fire ants. They are a native ant. Maybe hand bottom is actually more like the actual body shape. But yeah, they'll jump up on you, and then we look at each other, and there's this sense of like, but like I get a bit nervous because it hurts so much when they bite. I go, please don't bite me. It's a bite-free zone. And they're like, they'll jump off. But if I was to run my hand over them and not give them the respect that they deserve, they will bite you. They will bite you. And when I'm washing the car, when I've rinsed an area off, they'll jump up onto that rinsed area and they'll watch me. And it's like, Mum will hear me squealing and she's like, just plain ice out there. Because I know that if I take my eye off the prize and I disrespect them, or if I stand on one, because you don't kill it standing on it, you just piss it off, they will bite you then. So it's like constantly looking for where they are and making sure they're okay, and moving them on by respectfully all the time. And we get ticks as well. So ticks are another really interesting energy. I taught my dog to come over to me and show me if she felt a tick on her. So she would come over and she would like lean up onto me, you know, little grass ticks are fine, but the big shellbacks, they can be quite fatal for dogs with the paralysis. So yeah, I taught her to come up and show me if she had a tick. So with me now, if one lands on me, it's kind of like you get this sense like there's this big celestial finger tickling your hair or tickling here, and I just go straight to the area and I pick it up. The only thing is you're supposed to like get rid of them. But I go in between feeling like, well, I mean, they've communicated their presence. I don't want to, you know, turn around and so it's a bit of an issue where you're supposed to then like put them under a flame, but I don't know. I try and live in harmony the best that I can. You know, it's I guess you just you just be the most decent human being that you possibly can in any given moment, and not, you know, harass yourself too much if you just swatted a fly or whatever.
It's all the
But
philosophies of Dalai Lama, isn't it?
yeah,
Dalai Lama, all about that.
exactly. Yeah. But one thing, if you do, I've noticed over the years those moments where I have accidentally injured an animal, you know, not intentionally, but by maybe like absent-mindedly hit a lady beetle once. I had a lot of grief in that moment, and I held her, and I just like asked for forgiveness, like the Ho'oponopono prayer, you know, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, just in order to let the soul of that creature know that you see them, you experience them, their physicality was important, they are being celebrated in that moment. And I had a fairy wren, a male fairy wren, that went into my windscreen once and was killed instantly. Mum said it took me weeks and weeks and weeks of just meditating with him energetically to try to find some kind of peace within myself, because I was grief-stricken with guilt. And it was an accident, but I just felt so deeply overcome from that experience, because I hadn't long been driving, you know, it was only like in the early days of me driving when that happened. So yeah.
Yeah, there was a story you posted, Jeff, about a swarm of bees in Wales, where the beekeeper had died and the funeral was taking place, and that the bees had left their all the hives and followed the funeral.
Right.
I kind of wondered whether or not the new beekeeper had to reconnect, and I wasn't quite sure what was happening or going on there, because the keeper had died. Do you have any experience of working with bees in that way?
You're talking to Shemaine or me?
Either.
Oh, okay. Well, I can help you there. I got a guy. He's an independent honey aviarist. He's got about 500 hives in southeast Queensland into northern New South Wales. He's a third generation aviarist beekeeper, and he explains that too. He nurtures and breeds queen bees, and so this mite that's come into Australia, his queen bees have been able to withstand that mite, and he has that natural. You call it? But the same thing as Shemaine. He just has that. He doesn't have to preach it. He doesn't have to say anything. He just has that energy and essence about him that he just goes in and he starts working with the individual hives. So he has that same. His energy must step out of his whole body without him realizing it, and it just must wrap up around the hive, and he just embraces it, and he does it naturally. Yeah. I can't explain it, but I think he's just got that empathy when he goes from one hive to another hive, because he's got the intent of looking after them and making sure they're all good, you know. Whereas there's another major honey company in Australia that's importing syrup, and it's been given to their beekeeper breeders, and they place it just close to the hive, and so they're going in and bringing that type of sugar into their hive, and so their honey is really crystalline, it's really brittle, breaks down. Whereas the natural honey you can get from the markets, they're probably better because the local beekeepers. That's the best way to go. But yeah, that's Andrew for you. He's got that empathy. I can't explain it because even he can't explain it. I think it's just because it's in the genes. It's been third generation, you know.
Yeah.
He likes bees, and bees like him.
Yes.
Well, it's like the honey, you know. So the honey's really good for, you know, like in the old days, they used to talk about getting royal jelly, wasn't it? And the, in the Greek mythology and all this stuff, it was all about the nectar of the gods, isn't it? Ambrosia.
Yes. Yes. And when a honeybee, you know, stings us, if we can just let them be a moment, they will slowly. They need a little bit of time, but they will be able to unwind themselves. So the little the stinger has like little probes all over it. So they've got to go backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards before they can get their little stinger out. And then they can live. But without it, if we just hit them, they die.
Right. Yeah, when I was 6 years old, I got stung within 10 minutes by 3 bees, and my right foot swelled up. And, you know, from that moment onwards, oh, sorry, go there. Sorry. I've never been stung by a bee. And it was almost like, did you ever read those books, Clan of the Cave Bear?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, the woman gets pawed by the lion. It's got the mark on her thigh. Yeah. So yeah, I've been marked by the bee.
I love it.
Wow.
I've been marked by the hornet.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, I got marked by a hornet. So now all hornets know to be on guard when I'm around. And it's like I cannot give them a new storyline because I accidentally shook a mama's nest that she had with her newborn, her little live newborn in it. I shook it off my dryzer bone and it hit the dirt and it broke it broke the baby's house. I realized what I'd done, but she came and she just went bang, one bang, and then just stayed in my face to make me think about what I'd done. I'm like, I'm so sorry. We couldn't save the baby. Yes. Interesting. Maybe that's that soul connection of everyone that you're talking about. Even though I was hugely apologetic, I still did something careless, which caused the loss of a life there. So I have apologized profusely. Yeah. So I'm very mindful when I'm around hornets. It's like they've been talking. I'm like, I'm a good guy. I made a mistake. Because I don't know, have either of you been stung by a hornet before?
No,
I don't know. I don't think so.
It feels like barbed wire, and then it feels like lava for an hour. Just profound pain.
Okay.
Yeah. Which you won't experience if you don't disrespect them, and that's the story. That's the story. If we don't disrespect nature, it won't hurt us, as a general rule, unless we're a meal, like for a crocodile.
Yeah.
Wow. Right. Amazing.
Anything else, Pauline, you want to say? Any other questions?
No, I think it's been a fascinating conversation, an enjoyable one, and one that has traversed many species in just an hour and a bit. So is remarkable. Thank you very, very much for sharing your experiences with the animals, and hopefully other people will get a different point of view now when they hear what you have to say about them. Thank you.
Thank you. I love the opportunity of being able to come on and talk about animals. And I think my strongest message for anyone who does watch this, who is interested in, in understanding what this all could mean for them, is sit down with your animal, whether it be in physical or in meditation, and then communicate from that loving heart space to your animal and ask them how they are. Do they need anything? You? Yeah, exactly. Hi. And then just allow that connection to just like birth itself, if you will. This is a learnable skill. Like this is not just like some people can talk to animals and others can't. This is a learnable, practicable skill. I've just been, you know, my mum's so beautiful. She's just given me that space to be able to just dance in this field my whole life. So, I mean, I did do a law degree there as well. So, you know, I've got some brains. But I always come back to my heart because the heart is the smartest smartest part of the body, that's for sure. Never led me astray, that's for sure. So thank you very
Wonderful.
much.
Absolutely wonderful.
Really
And
appreciate
joyful
it.
too. Thank you.
I know, my cheeks. I've been smiling hard the whole time. Oh, and I've just heard, this is a secret squirrel. This is unofficial, but I've just heard that I'm in the running for a second time running to be Animal Psychic 2026. This doesn't get officially. I know.
I think the animals might have
officially.
something to say about that.
Exactly. So, pretty exciting times at the moment.
Yeah. You have to tell all the animals to get into their ballot box, put their X on the paper,
Right.
vote for
Exactly.
Shemaine. Yay!
Exactly. I've been chatting with
Well
the pigeons, so we've got a plan. The pigeons and
I. Okay. Okay, I want to know what's the outcome's going to be. Brilliant. Fantastic. Thank
Bring us
you.
up. Bring us up. Let us
Yes.
know.
Yeah, I will.
Yep,
I
let us
will.
know. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. I think
Is
it's
there a deadline?
officially, 30th of June is the official voting for the public. And the website is www.spiritualawardsinternational.com.
Okay.
Yeah, so
spiritualawards.com.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And the beautiful, I'll give the beautiful Kelly Wolverspoon Rawle is the founder of the Spiritual Awards, who makes this sort of these awards available for spiritual people. So it's a pretty exciting opportunity, to stand shoulder to shoulder with some incredible spiritual people doing their bit in their communities and helping to make the world just that little bit lighter. Yeah.
And more rounded.
Yes, exactly. And more inclusive. Yeah. Celebrated for all of our gloriousness. We have a magnificent planet. She's glorious.
Okay, so it's
thank you.
Goodbye from here.
Oh, I have my little feather here.
Oh, yeah, Gadanga.
Thank you.
Gadanga.
Thank
Bye
you so
now.
much.